6 years ago, right at this time, Michael hit, and it was devastating. I remember going to Mexico Beach before, and I remember going to Mexico Beach after. You got to take this stuff seriously. Right now, it looks like right now in Bay County, hopefully this will stay to the east, but who knows? I live in Naples, Florida. Ian changed right at the last minute and hit Fort Myers Beach and hit Naples, and as you know, 151 people died. We know we lost people at Mexico Beach. I remember going there, I think it was the day after, talked to some families that stayed. They said they'll never do it again. And then I talked to an individual that's trying to find his mom, and unfortunately found the mom. 5 days later, she had passed away. She was swept away. So I've been talking to the National Hurricane Center. This is a massive storm. It's a massive storm. It's moving fast. So if you think that you might be in harm's way, you're not going to have a lot of time to evacuate. So if you think you're going to have to evacuate, you need to evacuate. If you're going to stay put and you're close to harm's way, 7 days of water, 7 days of food. You need to have your medicines. You need to have your. You need to understand that nobody might be able to save your life in the middle of a storm, with the wind, the storm surge, all these things. It's going to be very difficult to save your life. You can't wait till the last minute. You got to make a decision, and this is fast moving, just like Michael was. The National Hurricane Center will tell you that there's going to be a lot of storm surge in parts of the state, as much as 15 feet. In the Panhandle, you're not going to probably survive 6 feet of storm surge. So we're going to get storm surge, from Pinellas County, all the way up, at least it looks like to Franklin County, pretty bad. And you don't know if this thing will keep going west or what it's going to do. And remember, if it moves, you're not going to have a whole bunch of time to make a decision. So stay alive, take it seriously. Listen to they're going to tell you locally whether you should evacuate or not. The moment they tell you to evacuate, you should be ready to evacuate and get out of there, because this is going to happen fast. If you remember in this part of the state when Michael hit, there's not a lot of ways out, and so that's going to get bumper and bumper traffic. Make sure you have gas in your car so you can actually get out. So. For Pinellas County, for Hillsborough County, think about what happened with Ian. They said, oh, it's going to keep. Ian said, oh gosh, it's not going to hit Naples, it's not going to hit Fort Myers, it's not going to hit Sarasota, it's not going to hit any of those areas. And at the last minute, it moved. It moved to the east and came right in and hit Fort Myers. I think Sanibel had 12 plus feet of storm surge. So. I've been talking to the sheriffs, our sheriffs, all of our law enforcement, all of our first responders, they are working their butts off to get ready all across the state. So I hope everybody takes care of themselves, stay alive. I know all the first responders are going to do their job, but they can't do their job if you don't keep yourself alive. So take this seriously. Now we're going to hear from the chief.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Linderworth with Bay County Emergency Services. We're going to give you a quick storm update and what we're taking and doing locally in preparation for this. Looks like the storm currently is tracking to the east of our county. We will be seeing tropical force winds, storm winds. So we do expect to have some downed trees and some impacts to electricity and things like that. So we ask you to, please stay safe in that process. Currently, we're at a level 2 activation. Starting tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., our Emergency Operations Center will go to a level 1 activation, which will bring all the different municipalities and services to the table that we've been in contact with, but it'll put them all in the room in a 24-hour operation period. So from there, we have, from an emergency services standpoint, we've brought in all of our paramedics, firefighters, EMTs, dispatchers, so we are prepared to handle all the emergencies. As the senator said, there is a point, if it gets too windy, that we will stop responding for the safety of our providers and our first responders. At that point, we'll start, we want you to still call 911, but it'll be a delayed response. So if you have the opportunity, have your plan to leave prepared. If for some reason this does shift west and we go under a hurricane warning, we will then start issuing evacuation orders. But up until that point, we believe that it's safe for you to stay locally. But have your plan, have your water, have your food, and your medication food for your pets. There are no current shelters open inside of Bay County. Should something change, we will push that out via social media. And the last thing we'd like you to do is sign up for alertbay.org. That is a messaging app that we can get emergency communication out to you immediately. And so that's probably the best way to stay informed from a county standpoint. The timing, we're looking at tomorrow morning, starting to feel those tropical storm force winds. And then we're looking at landfall to the east of us currently at about 8 p.m. So again, please stay safe, and we appreciate everything the Senator and all of the local and state officials are doing for us. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Senator Trumbull. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Senator Scott, for being here. As most of the folks behind me, I have a little bit of PTSD from being in this room from 6 years ago, and how quickly we know things can change. The significance of the storm, can change, and I think the overarching thing to be thinking about is just to stay vigilant, right? We're going to be watching, making sure that if this does wobble to the west, that we are heeding local officials and their calls to potentially get out. But I really think that I know that there's a whole lot of knowledge that we've amassed over these last 6 years on what to do in these types of events. And there are probably going to be opportunities where our folks to the east of us, Lord willing, it does not affect Bay County, but the folks in Gulf and Franklin and Liberty counties and Leon County that we're offering opportunities to help. And I stand ready at the state level to make sure that we have all the resources necessary to get people back. The poor folks that live in the Big Bend have experienced now will potentially experience their third storm in a very short period of time. And so, I just think making sure that, if we've got relatives or friends or if we can offer support over there, let's make sure that we do that. But from a state's perspective, I know that, we are going to make sure that all the resources that we have at our disposal are given to get folks, back and rebounded. But the storm surge is going to be significant from Franklin County to Fort Myers Beach. And, that is a significant swath. And we know as this storm, gets over the Gulf of Mexico and those warm waters, it's going to have a chance to spin up. So make sure to stay vigilant, watching, the local news, listening to what the National Weather Service has to say. And if there is a chance to where this starts to move our way, that we're doing everything in our power to, get that information out and folks having a plan to get out of town. But as always, we're going to keep everybody in our prayers that are in this track, and then after the aftermath of the storm, obviously be there to pick everybody up. Thank you. Sheriff?
Thank you, Senator. Good morning, Tommy Ford. I want to thank Senator Scott for being here today. Senator, we remember as governor everything you did for Bay County, and we certainly will never forget that. And you're still here for us as our senator. This team has been through a lot. We're battle tested. We've been preparing for this storm as if we were going to see serious effects from that. We are not letting our guard down. We're talking with the National Hurricane Center and state officials and monitoring storm conditions. As of this moment, it looks fairly positive in that the hurricane warnings are to our east. They come right up to the county line. So it is worth watching this storm very closely. Pay attention to your local media. They're the ones with the most up-to-date information from the Hurricane Center, as well as have the local knowledge of where things may occur. So I ask you to pay attention to your local media, pay attention to government official social media pages, the Bay County Emergency Services, Bay County Sheriff's Office, and others. We keep that updated regularly from very trusted news sources. Again, we're preparing, have been in preparation mode. The men and women of the Sheriff's Office, Fire and EMS and Emergency Management are ready for what comes our way. We do think that we'll see tropical storm conditions tomorrow. I know that some government offices have closed, schools are closed. We ask you to stay off the road if you can. I want to remind you about the situation with the bridges. I spoke with Major Fast at the Highway Patrol, and they don't close the bridge. They do have jurisdiction over the bridges, but they recommend as winds approach 45 miles an hour that it is not safe to cross that bridge. So that a lot of personal responsibility comes with that. That if you see that wind speeds are approaching that, don't go over the bridge because it could be dangerous. We will be communicating with the public through Alert Bay. At alertbay.org is the manner in which you can sign up for that, and that allows you to get emergency management and law enforcement alerts in real time through your landline phone, your cell phone, email, a variety of methods to make sure that you receive the most critical and time-sensitive emergency management information. So I would encourage every resident of Bay County to sign up for that to make sure that you are aware of any emergencies that come up. Again, we've been through the worst here in Bay County. We look and see what's off to our east and know what our neighbors are going to be experiencing in the coming days. And we'd ask that you keep them in your thoughts and prayers. We are preparing teams to respond at First Light Friday over into those areas to help them as many came and helped us after Hurricane Michael. So stay vigilant and keep those individuals in your thoughts and prayers. And I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Doug Moore.
Thank you, Sheriff. Just to reiterate again what Sheriff Ford and others have said, Alert Bay is a key thing to be involved with right now. Make sure you sign up for that. It's been very beneficial through the fires that we've had and other things. It's been a good way to disseminate out information in multiple platforms. Just ask that you be diligent right now. The updates we're getting, the storm is not going to make direct landfall on us, but we're still going to be looking at a significant rain event. We're being forecast for at least up to 8 inches. For those of y'all that live in a flood zone area, please be diligent in that regard. We do have sand and sandbags out where you can fill sandbags if you're going to have an issue with that. Please go ahead and be addressing that. The board has been very active in working with staff to be able to address things. We started the drawdown of Deer Point Reservoir earlier this week, so we've been able to take care of that, hopefully to be able to assist those that live on the tributaries there. We appreciate, Senator Scott, everything you've done for our community. You've been a great friend and advocate for us from the state to the federal level, and really we can't say enough about everything you have done for us. And at this time, I'd ask for you to please close this out.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I hope everybody stay safe, stay alive. Everybody up here is going to do everything they can. Watch the news. Hopefully this doesn't go for you. If you're in Bay County, hopefully it doesn't go west at all. But this is going to be fast moving, so you're not going to have a lot of time if it does. So any of us can answer any questions that anybody has. Okay. Thanks, everybody.